Greetings and welcome to Flood Victory. Today we have a topic I've been eager to discuss. See, I've always been skeptical and baffled by the statement, if you're powerful in the Force, all abilities will come easy to you. This idea has always sat wrong with me. You can clearly see that certain Force users have one or two more evolved branches in the Force tree. You could take this discussion in one or two ways. Legends or canon. In Legends, you'll find ridiculous things like in the Dark Empire storyline, where Darth Sidious could create massive hyperspace force storms, laying waste to fleets light years away. He was rumored to have been able to summon ships that could level planets, making the whole point of both the Death Stars just obsolete. He can even make himself practically immortal through essence transfer, force possessing other bodies. This was explored in the sequels as well, and we know what mess that made of the canon. This is an ability that seems like a cop-out, ex machina sort of lazy and desperate story device mechanic. You want all the tension in the world shattered. Let's make the stakes non-existent because only the body died and his mind is in somebody else now. To me, possession is an ability that fits magical beings like the Night Sisters of Dathomir, not force wielders like the Sith. Giving these sort of abilities to them lessens the uniqueness of other characters. Didn't we want an actual diverse universe? Where you have countless of uniquely different, strong beings with powers uniquely their own. Does the Force actually have to include all types of magic as well? Is the Night Sisters' magic just the Force used differently? Do we really want the Sith to fly, squirt waters from their hands, or turn invisible as well? Where does the evolution of the Force's powers stop? In magic, like Avatar, Harry Potter, or Lord of the Rings? Seriously. What do you guys think about this? Feel free to tell us your ideas below. To bring this discussion into canon instead, and by canon I'm going to reference the movies, shows, with a tad bit of cheating, including the Force Unleashed games, when comparing things later on. In regards to the canon comics, I'll do a Filoni on that one, yeah. So, in the movies, Palpatine's ultimate power wasn't pure destruction with force lightning. Oh no. It was clairvoyance, manipulation, deception, as well as mind sensing and reading. That was his real power. A skill set perfectly suited to get everyone unknowingly doing his bidding, one way or another. He played both sides of the Clone Wars by seeing the weaknesses and strengths in everyone he observed. But most importantly, he saw their desires and thus created a future for them that would satisfy them only at a price. They'd all do his bidding. The best part of it all was that he didn't start out by being sloppy, making his manipulations obvious, telling people that he alone could be the solution. No, he played the long game. Created difficult times for the Republic in order for people to be desperate enough to relinquish their independence, and not before long would they slowly become enslaved to their own thoughts that we need to be rescued from these oppressive separatists, not knowing, of course, that Palpatine made the other side think the same about them. Like laying a bet on a game you yourself have rigged, both sides would play into his hands exactly as he had foreseen. This was the reason why he was able to accomplish all that he did, not because he was powerful in the physical way by his use of Force Lightning, Force Probe, Choke, or other torturous abilities. While he was obviously powerful enough to use those well, mastered them even. It wasn't even close to what the true master of the Force Lightning could do. Galen Marek, codename Starkiller, was the master of Force Lightning, originating from the now decanonized but highly contested to be recanonized the infamous Force Unleashed games. He was so proficient in all matter of destructive force use that not only could he produce force lightning in its normal form, he was creative with it, merging it with his lightsabers for devastation only a few could bear to witness. The strongest version of lightning that we have seen him produce was his historically forbidden ability that was uniquely his own, Sith Seeker. Siphoning all his hate and dark side power flowing through his body, pooling it into a ball of lightning in his hands, letting it build to the point where he could no longer control it, and then unleashing it into a target, completely disintegrating it and its surroundings in a massive explosion. This ability was so powerful and unstable that if done incorrectly, it could kill the user by frying its very atoms. Therefore, even the destruction-loving Sith would ban it for its lethal threat to their self-preservation. The view of Starkiller being overpowered is, I think, narrow-minded. His absolutely brutal, destruction-focused training under Vader, along with his innate talent, makes for one insanely powerful apprentice. Merrick's abilities should be praised as they highlight Vader's ability to train others, which makes Vader himself look that much stronger. Now, the scene that I've observed most people take issue with is the Star Destroyer force pull down, claiming that it would be impossible to catch a flying destroyer from the sky against the power of his thrusters, turning it around and ram it into the ground with the force. The question I have is, why? As Yoda says, size matters not. Was he really that wrong? Maybe it is immersion breaking for you. In a fanbase where it is somehow accepted that Sidious could do all matters of ridiculousness, a Star Destroyer being pulled down is their limit. Now, I would say Force telekinesis was established in the original trilogy, so the power itself is the most canon you could imagine. Only this time it is ramped up to 11,000. I take no issue with this. Starkiller was brought up with no limitations when it comes to the destructive nature of the Force. I find it to make perfect sense. If you want to appeal to canon, call for authority, I'd like to remind you, these games were made under George Lucas's reign, and reportedly they were one of the few stories in the expanded universe material he deemed to be canon. Now, if you're still hanged up on that tiny bit of the story, one slight tweak will make all the difference for you. How about he took control of the steering of the Star Destroyer, forcing it to aim down and make them shot Sui into the ground instead? This way, a bystander, seeing him holding his hands up and making the destroyer crash, could tell the original story, where we would know that he just locked the steering for the nosedive. Happy now? No? Okay then. What if the story remains the same? Why does his OP status matter to everyone? The question of why couldn't he just overthrow Sidious? Not only did the story of the game touch on this, but as I previously mentioned, Palpatine's most useful power is his ability to read people, and that coupled with his intellect, he gains foresight. The rule of two makes any Sith Lord keenly aware of their apprentices' plans to recruit Force wielders of their own in order to overthrow and replace their master. Self-preservation yet again. To put it into simple terms, Galen didn't have the brains for it. Using the Force in such a destructive way made him unable to focus on other people's intents. His Sith meditations fractured his mind, made him very emotionally charged, too direct, shallow, and naive. Not a good combination, having the mind of a petulant child compete against the tactician. The old cliche of 4D chess comes to mind here. Brains over brawn, as always. Only this time, the old gatherer of knowledge is jacked too. I appreciate you taking your time to listen to this ramble. In closing, this has been me throwing my opinion out there, hoping to ignite a spark of conversation. Leave your thoughts, opinions, and support below. In the next video, I will propose a new take on midichlorians. Until then, adios, alles Gott, be kind to each other und auf Wiedersehen.